What's up, everyone? Oh, I gotta turn this music off. Can we get the music out? Craig? There we go. There we go. There we go. Sean's in the chat right now. I mispronounced his Twitter handle last time because I can't pronounce. I'm barely literate. Work in pictures, not so much with the words. It's Hobie, not hobby, I think is what I said. Yeah. So apologies for that. Sean Cope. I hope it's Cope. Is it Cop? I don't know. I'm goofing it left and right. Sean, who is Hobie in the chat. Sean Cope. Okay. All right, we got it. We got there. Okay, we're all on the same page about what our names are, and that's the important thing. Whew. Last portfolio review of the year. Whew. Finally getting the names right. Good Lord. This stream. How's it going, guys? So, we don't have too much to talk about at the top here. Hey, comics and stuff. The last portfolio review we did, I knocked down my water bottle at the end of it, and I think I hit the microphone at some point. So when that happens again, I want you guys to know that I'm not doing that accidentally. I'm doing that on purpose as a subtle wink to long-term viewers. It's just like a little inside joke between us, between the two of us. So, you know, it's totally on purpose. That's exactly what's happening. So let's jump in, I guess. Let's jump in. So here's Sean's Twitter page. He's got his portfolio link right here in the description, so you know where to find him. He's also, his information's down at the bottom of the right of the screen, right down there in the corner. So you can find him if you want to find him. Just right up front before we even get started, his portfolio link is or his portfolio in general is really strong. So, hey Rico, what might seem like pretty intense criticism is just me trying to be like, hey, here's the spots that are weaker in an otherwise overall very strong portfolio. I don't want you guys to think that like I'm picking on him or anything like that. In fact, before we even jump in, his portfolio is like, I would start showing it around. I'd start booking gigs if you're not doing that already. We follow some people. Who's this cat? Oh, it's Joel Bartlett. I was like, I follow a lot of cat stuff. I don't know. It's viewer Joel Bartlett. Okay, so right up top too, I want to just say that thanks Sean for giving us a look at his portfolio and letting us do this live. It takes guts to even show up to the game, so he deserves commendation for that, because you know, what he's doing here is not easy to put yourself out there like this. So he deserves respect for that. So let's give him as much respect as we can. Let's click over to his portfolio over here. So this is, I think this is the same like Photoshop. I don't know what my portfolio is, but this looks fine. Professional, clean, easy to read. Let's make sure the links work. Let's click contact. I assume this works. Let's click that Twitter. Yep. Let's click that Instagram. Looks right. It looks right. Cool. Let's does this go back? Yes. Excellent. Real quick, let's check out, like, so he's got some stuff from the Ultimate Portfolio here, and he's got some stuff that he picked out on his own. I assume he did all the, yep, both Stray Bullets pages, so we're 2 pages, all 3 of the Bone pages, so it's 5 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're up to 9 pages, 10, 11, 12, we're starting to push it page count wise, 13, 14, 15, yeah, okay, so we're at 15. That's 15 pages, you're like starting to kind of push it. I'd maybe cut 3, but I can understand how you're trying to show off a lot of different kind of styles and different ideas here. So it's not wrong, but I would probably cut it down to 12. I think you can convey, personally, this is my personal opinion, I think you can convey everything you want to convey in a portfolio in 10 pages. And I think anything more than that, and you're starting to get either excessive, like showing the same things over and over again, or you're starting to showcase weaker pages instead of just leaving on a high note. And actually, when Sean put this portfolio together, he said that he did work on the Batman pages, but that they weren't very good, and he didn't put them in here. And that's exactly what I think you guys should do too. He did. I'm wearing my t-shirt the opposite way. Oh God. Oh God. How do I fix that? Where's my mouse? There we go. I fixed it. This is so the microphone doesn't is not just floating in the middle of the screen, by the way. We're gonna flip it back because I don't want that microphone floating in the middle of the stream. So yeah, I think that he made the correct move, and here's the thing. Here's what I want to talk to you guys about how why that move is smart, because and I think that he posted them on his Instagram. Yeah, so he has them up here, and they're not as strong as his regular pages. So we're not going to really dive into them, but I think that working on them, doing consistent work, challenging yourself is those are keys to getting better, to getting work, to getting building a strong portfolio, because you don't know how, if you don't challenge yourself, you don't know where you're going to grow towards. You don't know what kind of stuff you're going to do in the future. You have to be able to challenge yourself in order to grow. Now, that doesn't mean that you want to put that stuff in the portfolio. Your portfolio should straight up be your 10 strongest pieces. So when you challenge yourself and say it doesn't necessarily work out that well, Sean did the exact right thing to do. Throw it up on Instagram, see if people are into it, get some likes, move on, So yeah, perfect. Let's jump in. These are Stray Bullets pages. We've seen these before. These are part of the Ultimate Portfolio. If you guys aren't familiar with the Ultimate Portfolio, if you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link down below. Otherwise, I've posted it in my Discord, which the link is below this if you're on Twitch. It's a group of pages that are flatted and ready to go, ready for you to color. They are pages that if you do all of them and you do all of them well, you will probably get work. They're picked for a variety of reasons. This one is chosen because it's not only is it a scene change here from the classroom to the office, but also there's a opportunity. Berry Colors, thank you for joining High Society. You've tripped me up, man. I was on a roll. Thank you for joining High Society with Twitch Prime. Whoa, did you guys hear that? Got some thunder going. Hopefully the stream stays intact and I don't lose any power and the battery backup system lasts and we're all gonna be good. Berry Colors brought the thunder, literally. So yeah, and it also has this moment on this page where this kid is filled with blind rage and stabs this other kid. So it's an opportunity to get a little weird with the color, in addition to all the other stuff. So Sean does a pretty good job of showing off, this moment here. The thing that I would say, so here's one of the challenges with this page too. You want to show off this moment where the kid goes crazy and stabs the other kid, and the palette that he chose is really interesting. It's this kind of black and white with red kind of you know, you can feel the intensity. You know that it's a weird moment. You know that it's like a moment that is important and different than the normal kind of things going on. But the problem that you run into is that, so the kid's got a red shirt here in this second, or what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth panel. And then he's got a red shirt here, but it's like we're in like the corner of the panels. We're like not really, it isn't really showcased. His shirt isn't really showcased until this panel. So, and then we get a page turn. So like we turn the page. So we've seen his shirt more in gray here, here, and here than we have in red. And so if the reader is not paying very close attention, they're going to get thrown off by this last panel where he has like a red shirt. Like potentially. And like, this is what I was talking about with like, we're going to really break these pages down because this portfolio is strong. Potentially you're leading the reader astray. Like, as a colorist, your job is to like anchor things down, like clarity above all else. And like, you run the risk, you're not like totally there. It's like 50-50 of like us getting to this moment, and instead of thinking, holy shit, he stabbed that kid, we could get to that moment potentially and be like, who's that kid in the red shirt? You know, like, and you don't want that moment. The other thing I would say, by the way, the texture that you're working on here looks great. Like, perfect for stray bullets, perfect for this moment. Like, I will say that your rendering isn't your strongest attribute, but like, you are showcasing your ability to make decent color schemes rather than you know, leaning into your rendering, which is what you want to be doing. Like, you'll figure out the rendering later. Like, you're playing to your strengths. When I started doing color, I was doing the same thing. I was like, I'm figuring out rendering as I go. I'm doing like one cut on things. I'm not even like painting, not even doing any of that stuff. And then I'm going to do like good color. And I see you doing the same thing, which is like where you want to be. You're doing a complementary color schemes here with like green and red. My criticism is that like you have opportunity to like continue the same green and red kind of schemes, and instead you opt for this like desaturated kind of thing going on with the classroom. You're also heading in a little bit dark, but you set up this like beautiful green with you know, like the kid's red hair and the cupcake and this tongue and everything's gross, and then we lose the green. Like, we could have put green here, and honestly, if you put whoa, we're like really zoomed in. If you put green in the background here, not only are you going to like anchor the scene as like a green room that this is taking place in, but because that green is going to be the only other real color besides like the red and the blue that's going on here, it's going to anchor the reader's vision in that spot. And you're going to be highlighting that the kid's shirt is red. Like, by putting red against this kind of like desaturated warm color, it's kind of like, oh, this information's not important. You know what I mean? Like, and this might seem so nitpicky to you, and I'm sorry, but like, these are the things that are going to like, you got to think about, that are going to like pump up your jams. The Boyks gifting that tier 1 sub. Whew, 4 gifts in this channel. Boyks, comics and stuff. Feel that high society, that comic book coloring high society. Let it wash over you. Everything you own is now gold plated. And Rico, the Boyks is on a roll. Just gifting them. Good Lord. Can he be stopped? No, but please stop. You're derailing this whole thing. you guys can now officially use across all of Twitch the emote that I had made that says "Don't look at me." you can now let people know that you do not want to be looked at. Anyway, let's talk about this a little more. So I dig this color that you put down for the desk. Also, this is like kind of a weird, I think you missed this color here for the floor. I dig this color that you put down for the desk, and then like we're doing this like desaturated thing. And I really feel like you don't want to be looked at either, just for the record. Well, you need that emote. I really feel like you are setting up this like what is it? Complementary color scheme. I know things. You're setting up this complementary color scheme of like green and red, and you're like embracing it in the first half here. And like by the time we get here, you've like abandoned this great color scheme that you set up for gray. And I don't know why you did that. I feel like what's happening on this page isn't necessarily like wrong, quote unquote, but it's like you have the kid with red hair, you have the red blood, you have the red cupcake, you got the kid in the red shirt, red, 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 red. If you did everything else in like working on the cooler side of the color wheel and like favoring green, you will end up with like a vivid scene that is interesting to look at, where you have highlighted the correct things to highlight. And instead, you just have this very drab scene where you are like hitting the storytelling beat, but it's like, and this is going to be a running thing in your portfolio review, where like you haven't done anything wrong. You've hit the storytelling beat. Nothing is technically wrong, but it could be more interesting. Like you could be like coloring in a way that is like more engaging with the reader. And also by desaturating everything on this page, you've given like a weird, can we zoom in on this? Yeah. So you've given, you know, like obviously the kid and the hair and the blood and his pants and the cupcake here and the shirt and pants over here. But like the book here is like this purple, which has given it like a weird priority. The headband here, like this girl doesn't matter in the context of the story. And the mug like has like a little bit of saturation on it. And I'm like, okay, like we're like here, but then the more that we look at this page, it's like, oh, but then we're also here and here. And I'm like, I don't know exactly why that is, you know? So yeah, it's just a couple of things to think about when you start to, if you want to, you know, tweak this last panel in the classroom scene, which I totally think you should do. I think that these pages work really well, but you can tie that classroom scene, because this is the other thing, is like with that scene, with these two pages, that classroom scene is like the point of these pages. This is like the exclamation point on this page, you know, like, and instead of like coloring the shit out of it, you just went, I don't know, gray, you know? So it's a little bit disappointing. If there was any time to like bust out the saturation, like this is the moment. And especially because then you move on to this moment, which is like a lot quieter, with the parents in the office, where they're like, we went from this like visceral stabbing in this classroom with like legit blood to like the boy Kevin was taken to the hospital. You know, like you go from crazy to let me check my notes. And you can accent that with color. You can say, you know, we're saturated here when things are out of control, and then we're toning the saturation back down when things are calm. Yeah, I mean, I get what you were trying to do. I see you desaturating to attempt to pop the main people, but yeah, I just feel like there's um, a more interesting way to do it that I feel like you're capable of doing, you know, that I see from the other color schemes that you've uh, put forward. The other thing is like you on the previous page, like I love this little highlight that you put on the cheek. You're like putting like little cuts and like, you know, like the color in the hair, like especially like this rendering and his hair right here is real good right here. um and then we get to here, we get to this last panel, and I could tell that you're a little bit bored because you're not rendering the faces at all. Like you gotta at least render at minimum render the faces, um, and then maybe his like suit and her shirt. Like you gotta put some time there. Um, and like I said, if you saturate this, you're also running into the problem where like the floor is the same color as the walls here, roughly. So the scene change isn't as pronounced as it technically could have been. Um, and that kind of like scene change stuff is like what you need to convey to readers that like scene changes are happening. There's in the Umbrella Academy, the white violin is having like these quiet moments with mom through the series that are like scattered among all these like insane moments in the Umbrella Academy. And I chose to make those moments, the quieter moments, a little more desaturated, which is like kind of what's going on here. But when you couple it with other desaturated moments, it's like you end up with just gray rather than like I've made an artistic choice. So, yeah. But I mean, we've talked these things to death. There's strong pages though. Like I'm picking them apart because that's what we're doing here. So because I want to give you stuff to work on and think about. But like they're legit pages. Like they're strong. I like especially what you did highlighting the two kids with the floor here. That's something that is not like realistic, but is good storytelling. So you're thinking about this stuff for sure. Move on to the bone pages. Oh my God, is my internet out? Are you guys still reading me? Oh God, we're back. Okay. It's cool. I fixed it. I did it. I fixed it. All right. So these are bone pages that were picked from the Ultimate Portfolio as well. They tell a story in these bone pages. They have this conversation in a marketplace. Bone goes into the darkness, and then he's kind of pursued by these guards as the story goes on, ultimately being surrounded and smothered by these guards. Heck, yeah. So I think these pages are good. You're picking like decent color schemes. One of the things that you're doing that is smart is that you're not going, okay, they're in front of these like solid bricks. Bricks are either red or gray, you know, like let's make the wall red or gray. Like you're thinking about, okay, how do I build a scene? How do I make the light source? How am I not bound by making everything like local color, meaning like apple red, sky blue, grass green. You're in that mindset of like, all right, well, let's figure this out. Let's tell this story. But I will say that you are ending up in a place that is too dark over here. If we, and I know this is like we're grabbing a JPEG or whatever, but like this is really dark, like 70 40 30. Like like, I don't even, what is this? 80, 70, 40, 35, or like really dark. And you don't necessarily like need to be that dark to convey, like, I know that you're trying to anchor the viewer with bone and like coming out of that little alleyway. But you don't need to be this drastic with it. Like, if you just made like between you pulling the grad through the wall here by making it like very bright yellow to like a this like mustard orange, like you're already forcing the viewer there. Like, you don't have to go this dark to be like, don't look over here. You just have to be like less dramatic than you are here, if that makes any sense. Like, you don't know how to do how dark is too dark? Okay. So I would give you the same advice that I gave a lot of other people on these portfolio reviews, which is like a common thing, which is you don't want to you're going to want to get one of those like Spider, SPYDER, screen camera things. It USBs into your computer. It runs software. You like suction cup it to your screen and it will calibrate your monitor. The other thing is that I don't know if you've ever seen your work in print. I would take, you know, your pages, your files, your raw files, high resolution to like a Kinko's or something like that. And you don't have to do this all the time, but I would do this at least once. Take them to like a Kinko's, get them printed out, come home, and then be like, does this match? And if it doesn't, like the primary culprit is this. We're gonna boot it up right now. This right here. Your gamma. You see mine's like cranked way down. This is oh, you can't, this doesn't, we already did this. This doesn't do anything. Okay. But your gamma is going to be the problem. If you get home and your printout, you're looking at it and you're like, my darks are really dark compared to my monitor. The thing that's going on is your gamma is too high. If your darks are lighter than your monitor, your gamma is too low. So you just kind of want to like, and don't drive yourself crazy, because like you can drive yourself crazy. This is like looking at like, you know, 30 shades of like the relatively the same blue, and then like after a while you're just like lost in the weeds and like you're just like, fuck man, I don't know, it's all just blue to me. Like, you can drive yourself crazy, but you want to get it close, at least close to what it should be in print, what it looks like printed out. Monitors are so bright out of the box. Yes, K. Michael Russell, you are absolutely right. Like, the first thing I did was like, when I set up my new computer, was like, how do I crank down these monitors? And it's crazy too, because like, I don't know if you're a gamer, Sean, but like, games are built for these bright monitors. So I always, whenever I play something on the PC, I always have to swap between like, this is my settings for print and this is my settings for like anything else. And I'm sure if you're like viewing this on your phone or you're viewing this on your computer and your computer's not set up for print, you're like, I don't see the problem. It seems fine. It looks fine on the screen, but that's the problem. We got beef. Oh man, you're here for the beef. K. Michael Russell. You told me you threw some shade at coloring all on one layer. And then I think you called me old by saying that I'm more experienced. Whew. This was like back in October in like a video that was just a one-off. So I don't even know if you remember this. But I was watching that video and I was like, fuck man, I'm called out. Like, god damn. Is it dinner time now? Yeah, too much beef. Anyway, we'll get back to your portfolio. So yeah, I think that your darks are a little too dark. And I think this is like I see where your head is at, but like your execution, you're being like sabotaged by your own equipment. So fix the equipment and you'll be fine. The other thing is I think you're getting slightly too wrapped up in the washes of color that you're doing. Like the bones look great because you're getting them closer to white because that's how they are. But like everything else is starting to get like a little bit muddy. You know, you're not getting a whole lot of we can only zoom in a little bit on this. Really? Is it still? Yeah, we still got it. So like you're not getting a whole lot of like separation in like a lot of this. We have like a foreground, middle ground, and background happening with like this guy in the way back and this guy in the way front, and they look similar. You're picking like similar values, and so by doing that, it's like all flattening out. Like you went from like busy marketplace to just like the bones are the only thing on this page. And it's like, you know, I get it. Like you're trying to pull the focus here, but you know, there's other stuff going on that Jeff drew that like you should probably focus on. Like there's important stuff going on. This stuff looks good. The one thing I would say is that you're running into, this is a problem with overlapping panels that gamma will turn me into the, it's labeled gamma, man, on my thing. Look, hulk your pages. That's what I'm saying. So one of the things that happens with panels that overlay on top of each other, which is a monumental pain in the ass, is that you start to have this kind of situation where you have this like gold brown in with this gold brown of the walls, and you end up with like, well, now I have like, this is starting to look like all like one panel with like a pole in between, you know, like you're running into this problem. It's not a huge problem, but like you want to keep this stuff in mind. You want to make sure that each panel is like separate, and like, you know, this stuff is not you gotta kind of like bend the rules of like what's real and what's not, as far as like what you've set up for yourself. Like you can just take like this bluish purplish color and just kind of like, you know, do something like that. And you're good to go, you know, clearer separation. Let's go back to your thing if I can find it. Yeah. All right. So you have them, they're conspiring. Phony Bone wants the gold, of course. Then they're talking, they're kind of in the same scene. All this stuff works really well. I would say that you can, like I said before, your washes are kind of getting away from you. Everything's like very oranged, and like you washed the whole thing with orange, and you started with like a cool gray, and you ended up with this purple for a shirt, and then like the purple looks like it gets away from you a little bit. Like we're starting to ebb into pink, to the point where like it's starting to read like his shirt is pink. It's not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is for these pages, but like you don't have to go so overboard for something like this. You can scale back the washes just a little bit, put a little more blue into the pink. It'll read right. You don't have to worry about that stuff. I like this. You're kind of like making Bone here, you know, a little bit bluer. You don't necessarily, this is like a pretty intense grad. You don't necessarily need to go that intense. Like you can just, oh my god, this is gonna be me guerrilla photoshopping here. So I understand what you're doing here is like you're trying to push him to the foreground. You're making sure that he's different than the golds and the yellows and stuff from like where he was on the other side of this thing. But like this is a pretty dramatic gradient that is betraying the form of bone that's already set up. And by just flattening it a little bit, like I'm just going to grab this dark color and just like 50%. Done. Like just like chill the grad out just a little bit and it reads fine. You don't have to get too crazy with like the rendering. Yeah. And then this page. So this is kind of the weakest of the 3 bone pages, and there's a couple things going on. One is your equipment sabotaging you again by being too dark. The other thing that's going on is that you're like really committed to this very red orange thing that's happening through the pages, and when that happens, when you get so committed with these things, you lose the ability to subtly tell a story through color. Like if you're committed to this saturated red that's through this whole scene, then like when you want to subtly, like as this page goes on, Bone gets more and more trapped, and I never feel that from the colors. Like he feels trapped and oppressed from this first panel, like, and he's not even hunted yet, you know. He goes from here and it's like the same kind of palette all the way through. It doesn't tell a story. I think that's easy to fix, and we did the portfolio review with those Western pages. We've done so many we've done like 3 in the last like 4 weeks. I wish I can remember who did them, but if you remember, we talked about how I just put an open thing of water in front of my keyboard, so that's gonna go real well. Let's not sabotage ourselves. So one of the things that's going on here is like you are like basically waterboarding the viewer in orange right now. Like it is to the point where like emotional beats have like stopped happening. I'm gonna grab like a little bit of this dude here, and we're just gonna put a little bit of blue in there. There, that's it. That's 20% of a very, very cyan, 60% cyan. And like, even that little bit, not only did it like push him forward a little bit to like get him closer to the viewer, but like we've also put this great secondary light source. So now we have 2 light sources happening. We have him in the darkness in this like cooler color, and then we have the warmth of the street coming in, and not only that, but we have like basically a little bit of variance going on with the rest of the scheme, so that the reader gets like kind of a break from all the orange. Like you need to let the reader like breathe a little bit. You can't be so committed to like these monochrome palettes. But I will say that the monochrome palette, like I'd rather you do this than that, and like be thinking about, color as a tool, and color as in like, the sky doesn't always have to be blue, the grass doesn't always have to be green. I'd rather you like think about it like that, like not like that, like you're doing right now, and then just kind of fine tune it's like you're like taking this idea of like, we're going to do washes, we're going to make this scene orange. And you're like, all right, I get that. And you pick up your orange hammer and you just whack the hell out of the thing. And instead I'm like, well, maybe we should, scalpel this thing. Like, we should do orange. You are doing the right thing. We just need a subtler kind of method. But like I said in the beginning of this, these pages are good. Like, you know, you're very hireable with this work. It's not perfect, but it's perfect to start. Let's see what else we got. So now we're out of the portfolio. We're out of the ultimate portfolio, and we're into stuff that you have that's extra. I assume because the ultimate portfolio, this is like the newest stuff here, because it's like the newest listed, and this is the older stuff, but I'm not exactly sure how this works. I would say that, again, you're being slightly betrayed by your equipment, because like we're a little dark for comfort, except for like here, like you're running a perfect amount of, you know, highs and lows, because you're like using white to like offset this guy. Let me show you something real quick. Oh, that's not the right thing. So I don't know, it might be screwed up because of his little visor face thing here. But we're gonna grab this, and here's your levels. So levels will show you like how much of a value from dark to light you have going on a panel. So this right here is like all dark value, and this up here is your light value on the right, and you've got like nothing going on up there, and it's because your monitor is so bright that you're like, oh, this looks good, I'm done. When in fact, this page, even though it looks fine on your monitor, and you may send it to a client and they're looking at it on their monitor and they're like, oh, this looks fine. Like, you may both come to the conclusion that it looks fine, get it to print, get it in your hands, and then be like, oh shit, it's dark, you know? And that the other thing is too, is that like anything that ever hits print is also going to be a little duller than your monitor, and also a little bit darker. Just in general, that's kind of how it works. But like, let's just for laughs, let's pull the black out. Yeah, fucking MacBooks. We're in a weird profession, because like, it's the printer's fault. Look good on my monitor. Yeah, right. So I pulled out all the black, so like we lost a little bit of the bottom here, or at least as much as we're gonna gorilla it right now. Like, this is our selection. We've selected this whole panel except for the black stuff. If we just, oh, look at that, we've lightened it up. This first hump here is like where your highest values are. Now it looks fine on my monitor. Like, this is probably, I suspect, what's going on is like, this is where you envisioned it, is like now how I'm envisioning it on my monitor. So, I mean, it's not an impossible fix. It's just your equipment is betraying you, and you need to have that conversation. Dude, I went, and we're just going to, real quick, I went personally, like, the first 3 to 4 years of my career, like, not understanding gamut with a monitor. Like, basically, I was also working on, like, you know, I'm dating myself, but maybe I'm old and experienced, K. Michael Russell, but I was using CRT monitors, those giant tube monitors, and there wasn't as many like resources for this kind of thing, and like print was kind of, or Photoshop and coloring in general was in its infancy as far as like being considered an art form. So there were not a whole lot of people who were like, let's talk about monitor calibration at the time. And if there were, I was not aware of them. So when I started working at DC, they were like, everything's dark. And I was like, it looks fine. And I couldn't, it was like a real struggle to figure out, and I did not get DC work for a long time after that. So I want everyone out there who is like checking their portfolios and reading about portfolio reviews and seeing this online, and Sean especially, calibrate your monitor. I'm telling you right now, don't do the thing that I did. Okay, so there's a couple things going on with this page that I think is indicative of some of your other stuff that you have going on. First of all, he put that girl in that other girl's butt, or that guy's butt. I don't know. There's a lot of butt stuff going on here. Anyway, so when you have a room, you have like floor, wall, ceiling, or you are outside and you have a building and it's, you know, left side, right side, top side kind of thing. Whenever you have like a cube that is a 3D space, which happens a lot, you want to think about like, it's easy to give a reader a heads up if you are like, you know, one shade for the wall, one shade for the floor, one shade for the ceiling, and it creates 3D space by having the floor similar to the wall, and you're doing it for the ceiling, but having the wall and the floor similar, you're just flattening it out. Like it looks like the door opens to like just a drop. The other thing is like you want to think about your storytelling. You're going to go buy a CRT monitor. Yeah. That's how you do it. Right. You get that old CRT out so you can see less color. That's what you want to do. So like you have a I guess this is the door knocker thingy. Shit. And then you have it over here. You can like highlight that these are the same things. And in doing so, you create, like, I did it very clumsily, but in doing so, you basically are saying, hey reader, like, we're going, oh my God, this is awful. No one look at this. We're going here to here. Like, there's all these like little opportunities with sequential pages. Battering ram, thank you. Door knocker thingy. There's all these like little opportunities with sequentials to like get the flow of the page right. And this artist set this page up really well because like he wants you here, he wants you here with the guy, and then he wants you here with the battered up wall. So it's like a pretty easy like page flow. And by kind of like by pushing the battering ram back with the door, like it's too similar to the door, it's too similar to the guys here, you can make that thing like chrome, you know, like you can really do whatever you want to do. Like it doesn't have to be matte black. I realized that like, you know, it might be matte black in real life, but like you could put a big just orange cap on the end if you wanted to. Like these things don't feel like you're rooted in like this has to be this, you know, because like storytelling wise, this is a good moment to just like zip the reader from here to here, you know. The other thing that I'd say is that like, so you have a very like airbrushy kind of thing going on with the door handle. When you render metal, you want to do a lot of like harder transitions, like high highs, low lows, like right next to each other. Like put a little shine on there, like that. You know, like that's like a little thing that'll just help you out. It's not a big deal, but it's something that you'll think about in the future, hopefully. Like same thing with helmets. Put like a little dealy on there. Put like a little shine. You know, it'll read more as like plastic or metal or whatever that's like reflecting the light. Yeah, same thing. Like I understand you're doing a light source, but you got to do like 2 shades for the wall, 2 shades for the floor. You got to make them separate. I dig how you're doing the dude in the red shirt, red label, like a little bit of blood here, red in the police. Like, you got a cool scheme going on. Like, this looks good. It's working well. The other thing is, like, these girls, I mean, I realize they're dead and they have no blood, but they might be reading too white. You might have to put just like a little bit of red in the skin tone just to make them read as human beings. But you also want to think about like where you want the viewer. Like you have him being taken away here, but then you have this like white outline. I don't know what this is. Is this them? So here's the thing. If you work on stuff that isn't like quote unquote pro line art, like I don't know if this saw print or not, and I don't want to bash the artist because it's a foot. I did not read it as a foot. So this artist tried to do this foot here when they really should have just like drawn the foot rather than putting it in silhouette. And because of that, it reads as like, what the fuck is this weird shape? And then like this woman is in this guy's butt. And like, that's the world he's created. When artists do this kind of stuff or try stuff out, yeah, it hugs the door in a weird way. Yeah, there's problems. When artists have problems, it is your responsibility to save them from themselves as a colorist. So instead of just rolling with what they put down, maybe try to like be like, hey, don't look over here at this weird foot hugging the wall. Like, you want to look at Johnny Homeboy over here, who's murdered a lot of people and put their faces in other butts and stuff together. Like, he's the terrible butt face killer. We want to look at him. So like, do that. Make me look at him, and then like take this blue and be like, hey, or take this black and be like, hey, don't look at this. This is weird. I don't know what the artist was doing here. Like, this panel reads better storytelling wise because we are like, hey, don't look at this. Look at this other thing. Yeah, the other thing I would say is that I can tell by looking at this foot that you're like, unless this is the line art and you're just so dark here, I think that's what's going on. At first I read this as like, you didn't super black this blacked out doorway, but I think you just made this doorway so dark that I assumed it was black. Yeah, you were like, look, we were talking about the bone page before. Your equipment is betraying you. 90, 65, 53, 48. This is way too dark. This is gonna print black. And you know, when you have like stuff like this, where you have another room, you have an opportunity to inject a little bit of another color, like create a little bit of a scheme. You can use a little bit of the yellow of the door handle up here in like the yellow of the next room, you know? You thought it was the bodies in shadow? Yeah. No, I get it. I just, you know, the artist isn't necessarily, this wasn't the, and this is the thing too. This is the thing with art. I'm not bagging on the artist because like, yo, we all try things. We all try to make things work. Like, there's different levels of success and there's experimentation that's happening on the page. And this is something that is like really incredible with comics, is that like people experiment and you can see them grow in real time. This is something that the artist tried to experiment with. You could tell that maybe they're not as comfortable. It was not necessarily as successful as it could have been, but they might get it right the next time because they experimented with it now. And so when this happens, you gotta roll with it. You gotta fix it for them. Can you lock the K value in PS to not go over 30? I don't know about that, only because that has to do with like, if you're using RGB and like porting over, I think you can like porting it over to CMYK. I think you can adjust those values somehow, but like largely I work CMYK. Let me, real quick, I'm going to load up a page. I'm not going to knock over my water bottle. That's not what I'm going to do. Let me load up a Heartthrob page, because I know those are decent. I'm using the wrong program for this. Everyone wait. The whole stream. This is solid. Solid. I don't even know if this page is good. No one judge me. It's a little dark. Fuck. Well, we're going to talk about it. So this page is a little dark. We're running into the same problem that you did. It's like almost literally the same color scheme too. In my defense, this is an old page and it's night. So y'all on notice. But so like I don't use any black at all. I also struggle with going too dark. Full disclosure. This is turning into a confessional. But I use CMYK, and I don't use any black at all. And the way that I get around that is I like put it in CMYK, I hold down shift, I unselect the black channel, I click the little eyeball, and now we are only working in cyan, magenta, yellow. So even like this is like the darkest part, but it has no K value in it. 0. So like it's still super dark though. This is a bad example. But my point is that, like, look, we all grow, we all get better. This is something I've been thinking about lately. So like, you know, like all the color here, we got 0K and everything. Look at this. Look at this K value here. 0. 0 for everything. And that's a good way to get around, like, if it's going to print anyway, like, put it in CMYK. You don't even fuck with RGB. Like, but this is also like, we're in the terrible, like, CMYK or RGB, like, which one's better? Like, who the fuck cares? Like, it doesn't matter as long as you make, like, good comics. Just, you know, be aware that, like, if you're working in RGB or you are accidentally using K values, just be aware. That's all. Magic Picker plugin has a K-lock for CMYK, but it's a single value, not a range. You design screens all day, web mobile for the day job. This is going to be tricky to get used to. Yeah, man. I feel your pain. Because it's tough, because it's like, you know, you look at that, like, that Heartthrob page that I did, like, looks fine. And, like, I sent it to the team, and they were like, looks fine. And even in print, like, it wasn't too bad because I wasn't using any K-tones. This is the other thing that, like, with K-tones, they're going to make your stuff darker. Obviously, because they're black. Like, yeah, we're dealing with super geniuses here. But, like, the K-tones are going to make your stuff darker, more dark than you think that they're making it dark. Does that make any sense? Like, if you think it's going 50%, it's going 75. Like, the way that it hits print is it's always going to go darker. And it's always going to be a little more muddy than you think it's going to be. Which is why maybe that Heartthrob page printed okay, but this page might not. I don't know. I don't even know if that Heartthrob page printed okay. We'd have to dig it out to figure it out. Well, man, maybe we'll do that in the next stream. In the next stream, Sean is going to get vindication when he realizes that I fucked up. That's what's happening next time. So tune in. Happens to the best of us. So, okay. So we're going from this scene, these people are murdered, to this guy's on trial. Just squint. Yeah. To this guy's on trial, in this courtroom, and then something happens. Is this prison? I don't know what's happening here. What is happening here? Is this a... Okay. I can't tell if this is a choice or, like, you color picked something and like it went awry. If I can't tell, like I thought this was like docs back. Is this like another drawing? I don't know what's happening here. Wait, these are not in order? Well, okay. And then like this happens. These are not in order. There's only like 4 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's only 4 pages. Are these guys flipped? I don't know that. Oh, okay. So these are flipped, which gives me a little more context, but I would still cut this page. This is like page 3, 4, 15, 18. Oh, dude, cut this page. Cut it. Throw it in the goddamn trash. Like 3, 4, 15, 18, burn it down. Like you're better off just keeping 3, 4 and not even touching 15, 18, because 3, 4 looks like, oh, you're setting up context. You know, like, man, this book is called Cause and Effect too. You're setting up cause and effect with these 2 pages. You know, like you're like, here's my narrative, and then it's like, what's happening now? And then you're like, what's happening now? Like, if this was gone, and then, or maybe if you like labeled them, I would get it, as like they're separate pages. But the other thing is like, this is the weakest page in your portfolio. Just like, and your portfolio's at like, what do we say? Like 15 pages. Like, just throw this one in the trash. Like, you don't need it. This isn't showing off anything that looks great. Red is an incredibly hard to use color within Photoshop and in general, because when you start to use red, you lock yourself into half of the amount of, like, okay, picture this. Let me explain. I can explain it a little better. Think about the gamut of red. Okay, you have like the darkest maroon all the way to black on one side, and then you go to the middle and it's like red, and then you go to the right and it's like pink all the way to white. When you start to work with red, you can already chop this thing in half because you can't use anything that looks pink. If you start to use pink, guess what color we're using? Pink. We're not using red anymore. And then we look at the other side of like black to red, and it's like, well, we can't use like 75% of this because it won't print well. So you're really stuck in like this very narrow window of like red and darker red and then nothing more. And, you know, because of that, you end up with this weird pink cell that like isn't really working for you. Like, I understand what you're going for. It's just not working. It's incredibly difficult to use. I only use red if it is specifically requested in the script, and then on top of that, like all red scenes like this, I only use it if it's specifically requested in the script, and then there's a storytelling reason why it needs to be red, because otherwise it's a goddamn shit show. Like, full stop. And when I do scenes like this, I basically like put 3 red values down, and I'm like, okay, we're just gonna use these, and then like try to figure out the rest, and just make it work. Preach. Yeah. This is the plight of the colorist. Like, red scenes, writers always write these like red scenes, like it's all intense and there's like, it's an emergency, so we're gonna make this whole thing red, and you're just like, well, this is just like a freaking disaster. Yeah. Would you suggest beige instead? Yeah. Only if you want to be non-committal. Exactly. So yeah, I would just, this page, there's storytelling problems that are happening. Like, you can kind of fix it, but like, there's also a bunch of storytelling problems that are happening. So like, you don't even want this page. Like, this was a trippy flashback parasite. Yeah. Like, like, I understand that like in a portfolio, in an issue, it's like, oh, I got to get weird with it here. Like, get weird. In a portfolio, to be like, hey, this is my one Parasite flashback page. It's like, no, dude, just cut it. You got a good scheme going here. Like, this is this green on orange thing that you got going on here is a little bit ham-fisted, but works really well. And I like that you're doing it because, like, when we're up here, it's like we're blue all day, we're orange all day, like it's monochrome. And then when we get down here, it's like, oh, ooh, look at this, green on orange, getting fancy. The one thing that I would definitely do, gross and weird, got it. I'm on board, man. It's definitely gross and weird. I dig the idea of like, I might lighten up. Let me coherent thoughts. The scene change is really strong. I would have like a light shaft coming out from the hallway to really sell this like dark bathroom. God, is there anything grosser than a dark bathroom, by the way? Ugh. The other thing is like, so we have his reflection here. In order for his reflection to not compete with the rest of everything else going on, yeah, let me just get into this dark public bathroom. God, awful. You can colorize the line art like that. It'll keep it from competing with the regular line art. Also, when we have like windows like this, I talked about this in the last portfolio review, I think, or the one before it. You can cartoon a little bit. Like you can put, like, you have these like green lights, you know? And like the artist is cartooning a little bit, and I can tell because he's putting these like little lines through the thing. You can embrace that. Take this like nasty green light and just like throw it through the window here, set to screen. That'll make it read like transparency or reflective or whatever. You can even like amp this stuff up, like put little shines up here. This is like so ham-fisted. Like that's a little intense, but you get what I'm saying. You can kind of push it further. Like I can see that you're thinking about it because you're like doing this kind of like gnarly stuff around the line art. It looks good. Oh, I didn't even realize this one was off. I didn't even see that. And you know why? You're too dark. You're betrayed by your own stuff. But like, so you don't necessarily have to do that up here, but like you can make the hallway seem even brighter by like having it like really cast some light in here, you know, like almost like push him back in space so it looks like he's coming from like the most well-lit hallway ever, like something like that, you know. You can really start to play with color in a way where you kind of have fun with it. Like this is the stuff that I really love with color. But yeah, this scene, the palette's really good. Orange and green, like it all reads really well. Cut this page. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say, same thing with this page as the bone pages. Like you just need a little break to the monotony. Like it's just too orange. And the problem that you have is like when everything's orange, I was gonna say nothing's orange, but like that's not true. Everything's orange. But like you can just like a little bit of blue in there, turns to green, like reads a little better. The horizon line will read a little better. The podiums will read a little better. it just like it just reads better. Not only that, but like if you start to mess with all this stuff and you keep the orange in his suit orange, he will look like the prisoner. Like he will be capital letters, the prisoner, you know? The other thing is that, and I see this sometimes, we talked about this with the floor and wall ceiling stuff, is you got a corner here of this thing, and you got the same values here as you do here. If you just darken up one side or lighten a side, it'll read more like a 3D object. Super easy. Very quick fixes that will go like a long way for your portfolio. What we got here? All right. Let's move on to the next one. We've talked about cause and effect enough. Wait. We haven't yet. Creator-owned comic. You colored through funding and through Kickstarter. Oh, okay. So this wasn't necessarily like totally pro. I might keep it in your portfolio, but my advice to you is to try to find some other pro line art. In the meantime, like it doesn't look so amateur that it's bad, but it is a little weaker compared to like the Bone pages and the Stray Bullets pages. Let's open this. Thunderbolts. Declan. Perfect. Pro pages. So you're a little dark again with the trees and stuff. You have like a moment here with the kiss that you can really like amp up a little bit, make it a little silly. You can put like a pink background here and like you go from normal, pink, normal kind of thing, and play up the storytelling a little bit. I think these look like at least the maybe the earliest pieces out of your portfolio. My advice to you with these is like, especially with superhero comics, don't be afraid to knock out that line art. Like, colorize it. You know, you have this like weird psychedelic thing happening, but all I see is like glows on black line art. Like you can take this orange. We're fast and loose. But like, oh man, this isn't working. Maybe this is working. But like you can knock out this line art and it feels more like energy, feels like more this is very silly what we're doing right now. But like, do you understand what I'm saying? It feels more like this transparent energy waves kind of thing. And then also when you have, and you're doing it here, you're breaking my heart. Like you're putting in that atmospheric perspective. You got these buildings that are like pushed back, and then these buildings look like they're right in the front here. Like, knock out this line art. Boom. Push those back. Let's try to do that better, so you can see what I'm saying. Yeah, like those buildings. If you think about this, the way this panel is, it's like you have foreground of character, background of fence, further background of tree line, extreme background of buildings. Like, those buildings should be borderline sky color. Like, you can really sorry for breaking my heart. You can really like push your distance. I try to push my distance with art and comics as much as I can, because like at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be a real life drawing. Like, it doesn't have to look like real life. And the more you push distance, the more readable panels become. So yeah, I wouldn't, not only would I push back these guys, but I'd push back the tree line here too, because now these trees are readable as more forward than these trees, you know? Panel 4 and 5, what do you do with a blank background? 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you do with a blank background? Like here? Oh, these guys. This is fine. Like, Sean just put like the sky color. It works. I like putting a little gradient. You have a little gradient here. You might as well put a little gradient here and here. Again, like with the fire, freaking knock out that background or that line art. Look at that. That fire feels hot now, you know? This little bump thing that's happening where he like bumps into her and then kisses her even though she didn't ask for that. And like, is that correct anymore in this day and age? No, it's not. But like, we still want to make this bump feel like a bump. Like, knock out the line art a little bit. You can even do it. You can do it here. Like you're knocking out the line art with like a little bit of questionable ethics. Correct. You're knocking out the line art a little bit with the glow here, but you can even push it further. Like really, really like amp it up. You know. Like we went from kind of a dull to kind of a saturated kind of thing going on. I dig the little. You're doing like little. Mark making that is like textured, and it looks pretty good for the most part. Like you're doing a pretty good job with it. Questionable ethics. Let's not throw anybody under the bus for this script. I don't know when this script was made. People are a lot more sensitive to it now, and they should be. But I don't know when this script was made, so maybe it's a product of its time. Same notes for this page. Like, knock out that line art for the weird Phoenix thing. And push back those buildings, knock out that line art. Like the problem is with like the black lines on black lines on black lines on black lines is that you've starting to kind of like flatten it out a little bit. And like this dude's more than 7 feet tall, but he looks like he's standing with these guys. Like when you have a character that's like gigantic, you can really start to play with atmospheric perspective in a way where it's like, where you like look at that and you're like, he's like the next town over, you know, like you want to think with like a character that's gigantic. You want to be like, that motherfucker's still got like 30 blocks from the crime scene, but he sees the crime scene and he coming. Oh Lord, he coming. And it's like, you can push him back with like atmospheric perspective. But yeah, it's the same kind of, and you can put little shines in the water and stuff. There's all these little extra stuff, but you'll pick up on that stuff as you color. Yeah, same thing. You're doing a ton of special effects work in here, and you just need like knock out the line art a little bit. You're like starting to knock it out here. I think that's just a coincidence. Become one large chungus. Yeah, for sure. What's your power? I chungus. Comics. Who let this happen? All right. Here's Black Science Pages by Mateo. These are all really strong. However, I would pick one. I'd pick the first one and put it in your portfolio, and I wouldn't put these two in. There's two reasons why. One, you're a little dark in places, again, betrayed by your equipment. The other thing is that you're dark on top of ink washes that are also dark, so it's like dark times 2. The other thing is that Mateo's like figuring this stuff out for you. Like, I'm all for putting the best foot forward, but like, you are, not only is he figuring stuff out for you, but then you're like ignoring some of it. Like there's bounce light happening on this frog that like I don't get for your colors. And the only thing that you're conveying to me, especially if like Mateo's stuff is side by side with yours is like, oh, if the artist puts bounce light in, you're just going to steamroll over that. Like, but the flip side of this is that while you were like on the judges' chambers, or the judges' podium seat thing that he sits at. Look, I've been to court. That's widely documented. I don't know what things are called. Anyway, don't look into that. When you had like the box and you had like a dark side and a light side, and I see that as a theme of like something that you kind of struggle with is like the rendering of faces, light side, dark side, that kind of thing. And Mateo, these pages are very attractive because, I mean, it's not a bench. I don't know why you'd suggest that for me, that it's called the bench. Like, come on. I think I know what benches are. This stream. None of this is usable. None of this is going to YouTube. I think I know what benches are. Thank you for the plug for the Discord. This stuff where you're struggling with like facial rendering and stuff like that, Mateo's figured that stuff out for you. So you're like, oh shit, we'll just run with this, you know? Like this light on the character's face, you're like rolling with here, and it looks good. It looks good, but like I'm all for putting like your best foot forward, and I would put that first page in, but I would cut the other 2 pages. And the reason for that is that like the schemes kind of start to fall apart. Because you go from like water to this creature to he's running down the cave, and then he's in water again, I think. The other thing is that you're like missing all this bounce light stuff that's happening that Mateo's put in there. And like ultimately Mateo is like is very good at rendering. Mateo's just real good. He's just real good. He's got long hair and he's real good. I don't know. He's really Italian. But anyway, the point is that like I would rather see one decent page than like I already know Mateo's good, and I already know that like any colorist can make him look good. Just put 1 page in and kind of cut the rest. The reason that I say even put the page in is because it shows that you are capable of working over ink wash. You know how to do it. So if somebody's looking to hire somebody for that, there you are, man. Ready to go. So yeah, I would definitely cut these 2. If you cut these 2 pages, because you have 15 pages, you cut those 2 and you cut the weird flashback symbiote thing, you're down to 12 pages. Golden. You got extra pages to spare. I would cut these immediately. And you're very hireable is the thing. Is like you look at all these pages, like this, like we talked a lot about this stuff. I thought we were going to be done in like 20 minutes, to be completely honest, but it turns out when I get into something, I have a lot of opinions. That's what happens. But much to the chagrin of most of the socializing that I do, I have a lot of opinions. So yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is very hireable. Like, there's not anything within these pages that can't be fixed with, like, you turn these pages in and an editor says, oh, hey, can we change this part to this? Like, this is all very, like, couple of good notes and you get there, you know? So, I wouldn't view this, I would take, like, everything that I said and definitely take it to heart and think about how to execute on this stuff going forward. But I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I have so much longer to go. I'm like, nah, dude. Like, nah. Like, put these in a portfolio. Get these printed out. Fix your fucking monitor. Like, first. Then figure out how to tweak these to get it to where you want them. Print them out. Take them to a con. get hired. Like, just go bring these to conventions and be like, hey, would you mind taking a look at my portfolio? Just give me thoughts. I'm a colorist. Here you go, and see what people say. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and I think you're going to start to figure out connections and things like that. You're going to start talking with your peers. You're gonna form relationships with other colorists. You're gonna form relationships with other artists, and you're gonna start to get your foot in the door. If you haven't already, like, I mean, you got that Kickstarter Cause and Effect like already in the rear view, so you're on your way, man. Yeah, I would just, okay, here's what I would do. I'd start to think about working on forms a lot more. I think the reason that you struggled with the Jim Lee stuff is because that stuff is so overly complicated that you really have to have a solid understanding of form, and you have to have a solid understanding of foreground, middle ground, background. And I think those are your two weakest things. I think that you can nail color schemes and you're thinking about storytelling. You might not execute on it like with 100% like, I don't know, kill rate. Why are we killing storytelling? I don't know. You might not execute it like 100% all the time, but you're thinking about it all the time. And like your portfolio plays up to those strengths. Going forward, I would try to think about rendering in positive ways. And I would try to think about like foreground, middle ground, background, and how to amp those things up. One of the things that can help you out with rendering is there's an artist app called Handy, an artist guide. It has faces and hands and things like that and like lighting rigs that you can move around so you can move the light source. Also, I'm confident that you have your own face. So you can just get a flashlight and a mirror and like, boom, you're already like creating, reference. You're already thinking about form. Like this stuff, I don't know if you have an action figure or anything, but like if like something's giving you problems and you can't get it like perfect using this, but if something's giving you problems, like you're a little bit, please, if you don't, please go get a face. Yes. Highly, most of the people that I know who are successful have faces. So like I see a lot of like within this form, and this looks like earlier work than your newer work. I see a lot of like, oh fuck, I don't know. Like I'm going to scribble this in and not do a lot of like high contrast stuff, and hopefully it'll be fine. And it looks okay, like it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look strong. It doesn't look confident. And if you get an action figure and like kind of pose it close to what you want and then like shine a flashlight on it, you will start to think about form in more creative ways. And this stuff is also stuff that comes with time. You'll get it better and better at it as you go. Not all of us have faces, so that Handy app is probably your best bet. Yeah. Beards can hide part of the face. Barry. I hear you, dude. But yeah, overall, super strong portfolio. I hope your contact page works, because I think people should hire you on like right now. I feel like you're primed and ready for like low level gigs. And once you start working those low level gigs, all this other stuff that I'm talking about, you're going to start working it out on the page. You're going to start experimenting, start working it out on the page, and you're going to be ready for the higher level stuff. So, you feel like you can do form, you just wuss out or something. It's something that, like, in all fairness, it's something that when you are not necessarily as confident in, it's stuff that like takes time. Like I'm right now, you guys know that I'm like trying to draw more often, and a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to figure out, like I drew like in the sketchbook challenge like a robot arm, and I was like, oh no, we're gonna have to put this in perspective. And then I was like, how do I put multiple forms in perspective? And then it took me like a solid 20 minutes to draw like a box in perspective, like with a bunch of like little shelves in it, in order to give me reference in order to build the arm. And that stuff sucks. Like, figuring out how to render the form is not fun. But like, it's like, especially when you're starting, because you're like, I'm so in the weeds, you know? Like, we look at that, like, there's a lot of like forms and creases and stuff in here, and you're just like, I don't know, gradient. And like, that'll get you started, but you really got to figure that stuff out, you know? Like, what portfolio platform is this? I don't know. What is it, Sean? Is this the Adobe one? So yeah, I mean, you just gotta like, until you can, the good news is like, when you start to figure out this stuff, when you start to figure out forms, when I'm starting to figure out how to eyeball perspective, like, it's going to be really hard in the beginning, and then it gets a little easier, and then it gets a little easier, and then it gets a little easier, and then like the more you do it, and you get those art abs that I always talk about. Like, you work at it, and then before you know it, you're just like, oh shit, form, no problem, boom, done deal. Like, I want to get there with drawing, which is why I'm trying to draw, although I've been fucking terrible at it this December. Trying to draw regularly. Same thing. Like, it sucks doing the perspective for me right now, but I know that eventually I'll be able to bang it out. Right now, I'm pretty good at just like banging out form and shape and light and dark. And like, I wasn't always, but I've done it enough that like I eventually got there. So yeah, just keep at it, man. I think that's going to do it for the portfolio review. Really strong. Again, really strong. We're going to try to do, I hope that we helped you, by the way. I hope that we put you on the path and let you know what you need to work on and like what you need to tweak. If you want to contact Sean, if you want to hire him for gigs, you should hire him for gigs. His info's right in the corner there at Hobby Comics. And we had that up on screen. You want to check out that portfolio? Here, you can tweet at him. He only has 66 followers. We're following. Like, you guys should follow him too. He's got a link for this portfolio right on his Twitter page. There you go. You're golden. The next stream we're gonna do, I'm gonna try to do some video game stuff on the weekend because it's fun. And then I think we've got one more art stream before I close for the year. I think we're gonna do one more art stream. We're gonna be talking about setting goals, realistic goals for the year, and what that means and how to execute on it. I'm going to talk about the goals. Like, I only set a couple because I was like kind of afraid of this, but I've since totally embraced it, and I think you guys should too, because it gives you like solid direction. And we're going to talk about that on the next stream. I think we might not be coloring unless I can find something to color. We'll either color a realm page probably, or I'll do some layouts. Maybe. I'll be drawing on stream, and that'll be super comfortable for me. Enjoyed the review. Cool. I'm glad you guys got something out of it. Very helpful. Awesome. Yeah, no problem, comics and stuff. Yeah, so yeah, that's what we got planned for the upcoming stuff. And then I think we're gonna break until 2019. So I'll see you tomorrow or Sunday for video games, and then next week for an art stream, and then we'll see you in the new year. So as always, thanks for hanging out, guys. And Sean especially, keep making comics. We'll see you next time.